Chula Kilonzo Jr.
Mr. Speaker, just like the previous senators have said, the right to petition the Senate, sometimes I think we should temper it, sometimes. Because this petition, Mr. Speaker, if there was a summary jurisdiction of the Speaker, we would have dismissed it. What this person is asking is extremely dangerous, very dangerous. Mr. Speaker, the chapter on Bill of Rights is protected under Article 255. At the first instance, the Secretariat should have told this good gentleman that you can't amend Chapter 4 on the Bill of Rights without a referendum. You need 1 million people to start such a process. But much worse, Mr. Speaker, all fundamental rights.
Order, honorable senators. Consult. Order, honorable senators.
Mr. Murkomen is from, Senator Murkomen is from a place, I understand why. Mr. Speaker, one of the most fundamental principles under fair trial, that fundamental right, that particular clause in the Constitution is the only fundamental right that is not encumbered. It has no exception. The only one. Mr. Speaker, to suggest that you can deny somebody bail is an anathema in a new Kenya. To give people bail terms of 10 million shillings is an anathema. We must condemn these things. It's wrong. I was telling Senator Wetangula when I was young, I represented Senator George Haniri when he was an assistant minister. He was released on his own personal cognizance. He walked out. I walked out with him. What is the 10 million shillings going to do in the judiciary? And you know, Mr. Speaker, that money cannot be spent. That money in the judiciary is put in a suspense account. It cannot earn interest. It's useless cash for nothing. I have a client, Governor Mulei, taken to court at 3, because then Amos Kimunya did not want him at Central Bank, majority leader. He was posted a bail of 5 million shillings at 3 o'clock. It's a way of punishing people. And by the time the bail, you are out of court and you have spent there and you have looked for cash everywhere, Mr. Speaker, the prosecution normally is not interested in the trial. Because the trials in Kenya is how long they can detain you before you get your bail. It's wrong. I was in this country when Miguna was deported. I went to court. It is wrong. When it is wrong, you call it the way it is. Dark is a dark. Sometimes when I see my brothers on this side complaining, I wonder where they were. Because that constitution they were violating just in the recent times is the same violations that are being visited on them. When one of them wanted to say what is good for the goose is good for the gander, I said what is good for the goose is good for the duck. It's actually gander. We must condemn these things. Mr. Speaker, I was in this country when Willie Kimani, because of things that he was doing, he was killed, put in a gunny bag. I was in this country. And the reasons are obvious. We have a petition tabled here by our chairman. Our chairman is not here. Mr. Speaker, there are people who have been killed in this country and families are asked to pay for the bullets. Petition, some of them by Senator Faki. They count 1, 2, 3, pay. We can't do this. And that's why I'm saying some of these things, when we see them, because we have people here who have been detained, we say no to some petitions. Tell him, return to sender. We can't go back there. Violating people's rights for whatever reason. It was visited on other people, it's being visited on somebody, and the more we allow it, they will one day, and Senator Orengo said it, told the Speaker one time, if you allow the things that they are doing to Parliament, one day they will arrest you. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I personally think that this is not the sort of petition that should see the light of day in a place where we have such good lawyers. It's wrong. Thank you, Speaker.
Senator Ledama.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Enjoy Nakupa. Mr. Speaker, thank you for allowing me to make a few comments. I think I will differ slightly with my colleagues. I think everyone has a right to petition this House, and we should accept every form of petition so that we look at to try and understand where the problem is. Mr. Speaker, I've had an opportunity to look at the petition. I've looked at what the petitioner drafted and presented to the clerk of this Senate. And from reading, I can attest that this guy is an investigator. He's frustrated. You know, in fact, if you read, he says that the investigation agencies in Kenya are frustrated because of the freedom which is given to the accused person, and they don't consider the victims. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to be very brief because my colleagues have already almost given the direction in which this petition should go. But I want to appeal to JLAC to look at the written petition by the petitioner, to see what we can be able to do to correct that which that criminal investigator, a detective, is finding it very difficult for him to perform his duties. I agree with the petitioner that we need, as a parliament, to review the penal code because the penal code violates the Bill of Rights. So I think what we need to do is not to condemn the petitioner or to make, you know, certain insinuation and says that that petition should be thrown out, but to look at the silent issues and go deeper in them. Where we can be able to assist, we assist. But where we cannot be able to assist, we tell them we are sorry. Because, of course, the right of an accused person to be brought before a court of law within 24 hours is one which we'll all defend. But we also have to figure out what happens. The petitioner is arguing that very many people who commit offenses and are out on bail continue committing offenses because of the duration of time that it takes for a matter to be concluded. And once the matter is dismissed in the lower court, there's an appeal process all the way to the Court of Appeal and all the way to the Supreme Court. So, Mr. Speaker, my view is very simple. Let us look at the issue that the petitioner is raising. Let us put ourselves in his shoes as an investigator. He's finding it very difficult for him to be able to carry out his tasks. So, Mr. Speaker, I hope that the Committee on JLAC will actually take time to look at, and they should get copies of the petition and look at the legislation that he is proposing for them to be amended. Finally, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of amendment of Chapter 4, I think before a petition is brought here, just like Senator Mutula has said, petition should be disqualified based on what the petitioner is seeking. If he's seeking to amend the Constitution without a referendum, I think the best thing he should have done is to go out there and collect 1 million signatures, go through the same process that the BPA process has taken, and even the Punguza Mzigo took. But on this one, I am keen to see that at least we try and listen to that investigator. Put ourselves in the shoes of the CID department on the challenges that they go through. And some of those challenges are brought by us politicians, depending on which side of the divide you are in. If you're in government, you make it very difficult for an accused person. Sometimes you go in, even us as politicians, we've been arrested, detained, and then they work hard to try and bring you within 24 hours, but they arrest you on a Friday. So if some of those issues are issues that we need to address, then we do so. And this petition now gives us an opportunity to address those issues. So, Mr. Speaker, I thank you, and I hope that we'll give justice and not condemn every petition that is brought before this House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I also want to take a different view from the view taken by my colleague, Senator George Aniri, saying that Taratisio Kawe made a good decision to come to this house and not the other house. The Speaker, the fact that Taratisio actually chose to bring this petition here, for me, I think he must be having a very low opinion of who we are in this house and what we do. The Speaker, I say this because what this petition is doing, it is an invitation to the Senate of the Republic of Kenya to claw back, Mr. Speaker, on the gains achieved through Chapter 4 of the Constitution on Fundamental Rights and Freedoms under the Bill of Rights. The Speaker, listening to that petition, I was saying to myself that the leaders that went before us, Mr. Speaker, I seek to be heard, Mr. Speaker. Too much. Mr. Speaker, there's too much consultation.
Order. Order, senators. Consult in low tones. Order, honorable senators.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was saying that listening to the contents of that petition, I'm very sure leaders that went before us, the late Ken Matiba, Martin Shikuku, George Anyona, they must be turning in their graves and wondering, what is this that the Senate is being invited to do? We are being told, Mr. Speaker, that we should go back to the days when people will be detained without trial, people will be denied bail on flimsy grounds. And so, Mr. Speaker, I want to associate myself with the views held by some of my colleagues that before these petitions come to the floor of this Senate, Mr. Speaker, I think the Secretariat needs to really scrutinize these petitions. Yes, people have a right to petition the House on any matter, but those rights also have limitations. This is such kind of petition that should never have found its way to the floor of this Senate. Mr. Speaker, I oppose that petition. Thank you.
Senator Munyiaji Faki.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this petition. Mr. Speaker, sir, the petition by Taratisio Kawe raises very fundamental issues. And if you look at the current practice, suspects are taken to court, some are taken just with an affidavit to say that I suspect so-and-so is committing such an offense, and the court detains that suspect for 14 days, 21 days, and so on and so forth. That is in contravention to the rights under Article 49 of the Constitution. So this petition, Mr. Speaker, sir, seeks to some extent legalize what the police are currently doing to suspects, some of them charged with very minor offenses that are available under the law. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, this petition, if allowed to proceed, can seriously dent the reputation of this Senate. Although it has already been admitted, I will ask maybe the committee of JLAC to expeditiously maybe deal with the petition so that we may not be party to these attempts to claw back on our Bill of Rights. Mr. Speaker, sir, if you look at Article 47(3), Parliament was supposed to enact legislation to give effect to the rights in Clause 1, and the legislation shall A, provide for the review of administrative action by a court, or if appropriate, an independent or impartial tribunal, and B, promote efficient administration. This legislation, Mr. Speaker, sir, has not been brought to Parliament, and therefore, that allows the police and other investigative agencies to claw back on the rights under Article 49 of the Constitution. I therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, urge the Committee of JLAC to seriously maybe consider dealing with this petition summarily. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Murkomen. Order, honorable senators. Senator Murkomen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a very serious petition, and this petition touches on the very important issues, the core of our Constitution, which is the Bill of Rights, with which we should not be, especially at the core, freedom of and rights of suspects as provided for under Article 49 of the Constitution. The Speaker, while I agree with Senator Olekina that any petitioner has a right to bring the petition to this House, I think this is one of those petitions that the committee should not waste a lot of time dealing with, because the contents are so obvious. We may never condemn the petitioner for bringing it here, although I'm almost agreeing with Senator Wambua, who says that this petitioner is thinking very lowly about this House for him to have even the courage to bring this petition to this very House. But be it as it may, and considering that we came here to represent citizens and that citizens are of different opinion, I think my take is to the committee, that the committee should dispense with this matter without further investigation or without even trying to carry out a public participation, because the wisdom, the capacity, the knowledge of the committee led by a senior counsel should just come to the conclusion that this is one of those petitions that the committee, on the face of it, can write back to the petitioner and say, this is the kind of petition that should not be entertained beyond the advice we are going to give through the committee. Why am I saying this, Mr. Speaker? We established the Constitution of Kenya 2010 under a background, or the background behind which was detentions without trial. We are in a country today where arrests are taking place on Friday. And Mr. Speaker, you are a victim of this process, where one is arrested, like you are arrested from Nairobi, taken to somewhere in Samburu, in the name of you are going to write a statement. What is this madness with police officers arresting public servants or citizens on Friday? And particularly when the person being arrested is of a caliber of a political stature like yours or any other senator in this House. If we are going to allow this kind of petitions, the government of the day will be using that window to charge any of us. They can even charge you for murder and say it is because of the seriousness of the offense that you must be held for a month, for 2 months. This country, the criminal justice system has been extremely abused. And I agree with Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. that some of the magistrates and some of the courts are giving ridiculous bail terms, particularly one magistrate sitting in Milimani who has since been transferred recently. How can you give someone a bail terms of 100 million or 70 million or 50 million or 12 million? In the first place, why do we have bail? It is for the suspect to appear in court. And if a suspect is a senator, there is no way that that suspect will leave this country because he has an interest in terms of matters of governance. It's enough for him to deposit his passport and just, Mr. Speaker, confirm to the court that he will come to court in a particular time. Look at the case of Honorable Gachagua the other day. You investigate someone for 2 years, Mr. Speaker, and then after 2 years of investigation, you come and arrest him on Friday. And you go and charge him on Monday with others not before the court. And up to now, you have not even arrested those people. They have not even written a statement. We have witnessed, particularly in the last 2 years, abuse of the criminal justice process to arrest people and punish them in the interim. Because you know for sure that so-and-so is not going to be found culpable, the easiest way to punish your enemies is to either arrest them on Friday, or if they are public servants holding public office, you arrest them and charge them and make sure that the corruption case takes more than 2 years, so that then you can take advantage of the Anti-Corruption Act and you say after 2 years that person should leave office. So many people are now jobless because of the misuse of the criminal justice system. And therefore, I want to request the chair, Senator Mogeni. Today, Senator Mogeni, it's the Hustler Nation who are being persecuted through this process. The other day, it was ODM. Yeah. Today, ODM is in government. They are enjoying the proceeds of state. Tomorrow, when the Hustler Nation will be in office, and yours truly will be sitting on the other side of government, we want to make sure that the law will apply no matter where Murkomen will be today or tomorrow. And for that reason, such kind of petitions must be dealt with finality. And we must discourage other petitioners in future bringing other petitions that ask us to work towards derogation of the rights that are enshrined in Chapter 4 of our Constitution. If there is anything this House should do, is to ensure that we ban Friday arrests. We actually, by law, should come up with a legal framework that says that a citizen should not be arrested on Friday unless you are being arrested for an offense you committed at that particular day, and that there is no other possibility that if you are arrested on Monday, you will commit even more offenses. And I think, Mr. Speaker, if we do this, we are going to do away with this very draconian application of the law by oppressive regimes. And Mr. Speaker, give me just 1 minute. The chair of this committee comes from the party that recently joined the government through handshake, ODM. And NASA have just left them. The other partners have left them. So them and the smaller part of Jubilee are now running government. I want to ask you, Mr. Chair, to tell your principle, because he always talks about he fought for human rights, he was detained without trial, that the things he's doing today, thinking that it will earn him the opportunity to be given by a silver platter by the outgoing president to become president of Kenya, is establishing a legal order that will become punitive to him and his supporters. I thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Okongo Mogeni. Senator Mogeni.
Mr. Speaker, you know, the country is watching, and people of Nyamira are watching me. And you know, being a senior counsel is not a small thing. The senator for Marakwet, my good friend Senator Murkomen, he keeps referring to my party leader. And if you read our constitution, Mr. Speaker, we have head of state who is the president, and we have a deputy president who is the principal assistant of the president. So if there is any transgressions being conducted by the government of the day, Senator Murkomen should be telling us what the deputy president, who is his close friend, is doing to ensure that human rights of Kenyans are not trampled upon. Mr. Speaker, I don't see how my party leader, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, comes in to direct Jubilee government how it should conduct its business when the government is in the safe hands of President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto. So that it should not be go on record in making references to the chair of JLAC and telling me to go and tell my party leader is not part of government. Mr. Speaker.
Order, senators, we have 2 other interventions. Senator Nyamunga.
Mr. Speaker, I just rise to inform Senator Murkomen that the direction he's taking is a very dangerous direction. If he has an issue with my party leader, he should just wait outside this house and raise those issues. We are discussing a very important issue, and we should stick to the rules and regulations of this house. There's no need of digression, bringing issues that should not be brought in this house, very uncalled for, and I think he's looking for something else, apart from the discussion that we have on the floor of the house. And he knows what he should be doing. If he is looking for something else, he knows where he should do it, and not on the floor of this house. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable senators, we are past the 30 minutes for the comments. about this petition. I give this last chance to Senator Murkomen to conclude his contribution, his comments on the.
Mr. Chair, I think the party leader of Senator Mogeni should not choose when to become a brother of the president and co-president in the handshake government. And
Order, senators.
When it doesn't favor him, Mr. Chair.
Order, honorable senators. We need to give our comments to
I'm
this
just
petition.
responding to the fact that, anyway, it's Jesus who said, unless you are new in Jerusalem. We all know, Mr. Speaker, where the party leader of ODM falls.
What is Senator Pareno?
In the onion ring that the government is.
Order, Senator
So
Murkomen.
if you are not new in Jerusalem,
Senator
you know what's
Pareno.
going on.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Senator Murkomen
Order,
knows
senators.
that
We already have Senator Pareno on intervention, so we don't expect any other point of information or order, or point of order.
Mr. Speaker,
Continue, Senator Pareno.
Senator Murkomen knows that the subject this evening is not about the Honorable Raila Odinga. If he wanted to discuss him here, can he do a substantive motion and substantiate what he's talking about? But he cannot keep talking about a party leader who is not here. Yet some of us are his lieutenant and we are ready to defend him in whatever cause that he can bring forth. So in whatever format. So the best thing he can do is to restrain himself. Let us not discuss our principles here. That is not the subject today. So put him to order.
Senator Manzayo.
Yeah. Bwana Spika, asante kwa hii yangu ni hoja ya nidhamu. Hoja ya nidhamu ni kwamba Bwana Spika, je, ni haki kulinganishana na sheria zetu kuongea juu ya mtu ambaye hayuko ndani ya hili bunge ama hayuko na nafasi ya kuweza kujitetea, na uongee kwa njia ambayo haina heshima? Najua Bwana Spika, lazima mtu aheshimu. Hata kama sisi sote ni Waafrika, heshima kwa mtu mzima aliyekupita kwa umri ni kitu cha muhimu. Hapa yeye haongei juu ya mtu ambaye si muhimu. Huyo ni muhimu na ni mkubwa kwa umri juu yake, na hata anaweza kuwa ni babake. Kwa hiyo itakuwa ni matusi kwa Mheshimiwa Murkomen kutumia lugha ambayo haifai kwa kiongozi wa taifa hili ambaye ameleta amani ndani ya Kenya hivi leo. Ni makosa sana Bwana Spika. Nataka kuuliza, je, ni haki kuweza kutaja mtu ambaye hawezi kujitetea ndani ya hili bunge? Hususan kutaja kiongozi wa chama ambacho anaongoza cha ODM, ikiwa mimi pia ni mmoja katika kile chama. Ni haki hii?
Senator Sakaja.
Mr. Speaker, this matter of arrests and detentions is so important. I'm dismayed at how we are going into relevant issues of political shadow boxing. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, there are 2 young men arrested, found dead in Embu, and I'm sure the senator for Embu might have a statement around that. That's what we should be talking about. We can't start talking about, political issues. We have young people being arrested every day. Those 2 are dead. Families are mourning. Kenyans who are watching expect us, when we're talking about arrests and detentions, to seek justice for those people and not start political shadow boxing, which can be done elsewhere, Mr. Speaker. I ask you, Mr. Speaker, our standing orders are clear on the matter of relevance. Can we stay relevant to the issue of that petition, and then we move forward, and I hope there's a substantive statement, because we want to talk about what is concerning Kenyans right now, which is what happens when these arrests and detentions are done against the law that we have, Mr. Speaker. So I'm just asking for relevance, Mr. Speaker. There are many opportunities for us to do politics, and we can do it elsewhere. But right now, let us focus on what is key in the mind of Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. So Mr. Speaker, without anticipating debate, because I've not seen any statement, the matter of those young boys, one from Embu Technical, another one, I think, also in university, a 4th year, who were arrested and found dead. And it is, you cannot anticipate debate. And it is, and Mr. Speaker, it is not the only case that has happened. There are many similar incidents in Nairobi. Please let us go to that discussion, Mr. Speaker, if that's a discussion. But the matter, the relevant, or rather the subject matter right now, is about petitions. It is not about who is in the outside onion of the government, who is inside, who is, I don't know, whose brother. That, Mr. Speaker, is neither here nor there.
Senators, we need to conclude on this matter. Senator Murkomen, 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I think I agree with my colleagues who are saying that this matter should rest. I was only sending a message to the government of the day, and the government of the day is known to
Orengo?
every Kenyan who lives in this country. I'm on a point of what I thought.
Mr. Speaker, I rise on a point of order and really to support what Senator Sakaja is saying. Because when there's a substantial issue like this petition, it's pros and cons. The issue of relevance is very important. Otherwise, you know, if you take a house like the Senate, I mean, we're not some village baraza where you can just arrive and start talking things that come to your head without thinking through them. We are a house of record, and the rule of relevance applies. I would have thought that Senator Murkomen will remind the House the position he took when this House was discussing the Security Laws Amendment Bill. Because the position he took is what is making it possible for the police to do the kind of things that are being done now. And you remember we went to court to challenge the Security Laws Amendment Bill, which you supported. Now, if this law is affecting you, don't blame others for it. You're finding yourself in a terrible situation out of your own conduct. But Mr. Speaker, without anticipating what we are going to say later on in this House, I would want that we stick to the rule of relevance, because we've got a lot of things to say about you also. You who deny that you're in government and you are sticking in government. I've never seen you walk to the minority side. You're still part of government. You still attend cabinet meetings. You still stay. Today you held a meeting in government premises, and you still blame others for being part of the government. I think the rule of relevance is very critical. And if you,
Order, honorable senators.
And if you want us to
Order, honorable senators.
If you want us to talk about principles, if you want...
Proceed, Senator Orengo. Order, Senator
Mr.
Murkomen.
Speaker, I would say that if he wants us to discuss principles, he can bring that debate here. And we've got things to say about your principle. But the only problem is you have not made up your mind who is your principal. When you wake up in the morning, you're Jubilee, in the evening, you're another party which you don't bear the colors of that party.
Order, honorable senators.
Mr. Speaker, first to start with, I want to tell Senator Orengo should know one thing. I supported Security Amendment Laws 2014, and I have no regret. In fact, it's because of our support for those Security Amendment Laws 2014 that we were able to manage and actually bring down the issue of terrorism. And my conscience is so clear, no one here can get me one clause of that Security Amendment Law that violates any right today or in the future. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I am on the order of the floor. I kept quiet when you are talking. Orengo, don't echo.
Order, senators.
Number two, Mr. Speaker.
You address the chair.
Mr. Speaker, number two and more important, is to say here that why is Orengo so jittery when we tell him that he is on the side that is currently in government? Why? When we know, Mr. Speaker, they dine with the president, they plan with the president, they are the ones who are now announcing government projects. Why does it become so painful if the minority side already is accommodated in government? The only thing I said on the floor of this House is that for the short period that you are enjoying the largesse of government, do not forget that tomorrow may come. The same things that Orengo was trying to tell me another time, that government is its own. Mr. Speaker, That statement is not factual because Orengo should have added, but he's the one carrying the knife because he's the one holding the knife today. My point is that, Mr. Speaker, I just want to conclude.
Honorable
Mr. Speaker,
Senators.
I'm concluding. My point is this. I have said those who are in government today, when extrajudicial killings are happening, when police brutalities are up, when people are being killed in Runyenjes, and yesterday they used to make the loudest noise, must know that another time like that can come in tomorrow. That's the only thing I
Order,
said.
Senators. Order, Honorable Senators. Honorable Senators. Pursuant to Standing Order 232-1, the petition should be committed to the relevant standing committee for its consideration. In this case, I direct that the petition be committed to the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs, and Human Rights. In terms of Standing Order 232-2, the committee is required in not more than 60 calendar days from the time of reading the prayer to respond to the petitioner by way of a report addressed to the petitioner and laid on the table of the Senate. I thank you. Honorable Senators, we are now going to order us to rearrange the standing order. I therefore call the clerks to call order number 8 and 9.
Order number 8, the prompt payment bill, Senate Bills number 16 of 2021, second reading, division. Order number 9, the Natural Resources Benefit Sharing Bill, Senate Bills number 25 of 2020, second reading, division.